Picture the scene. It's your first tournament. You sit at the chair in front of the crowd, nervously click some buttons, do some practice backdashes. Nothing's happened yet, the match hasn't started. You look over at your opponent, and they seem to be more in control, more focused than you are. You shake it off, but then they lean in, look you dead in the eye, and under their breath whisper, "Get good, scrub." You're now tilted harder than a drunk guy in a merry-go-round. But should that be the case? Let's have a look at why trash talk should be your best friend.
Don't forget the thumbs up. Oh, friend. Oh, new friend. Oh, friend. Please be my friend.
So what is trash talk? Trash talk is a put down, a needle, an attempt to get under someone's skin in a competitive setting.
He hit a button. He's so genius. The taunt. He did a taunt combo to Punk in grand finals of Evil.
And where do we see trash talk? We see it everywhere. From Xbox Live screaming matches,
I'm already winning by default! I'm already winning!
To sat side by side in an arcade, to standing a little too close to each other at a weigh-in prior to a fight. Trash talk also pervades our daily life. In fact, one study found that 61% of employees could recall instances of trash talk that had occurred within the last 3 months. The witty put down is
legendary,
and it's never going to go away. To truly understand the devastating effect a good one-liner can have, we need to look no further than Winston Churchill. Lady Astor, a member of Parliament, approached him and said, "Winston, if you were my husband, I'd flavour your tea with poison." To which Churchill replied, "Madam, if I were your husband, then I should drink it." That burn was indeed sick, but what does it mean for the burnee, rather than the burner? In an experiment with 2 groups, one who received trash talk messages and the other who only received neutral messages, it was found that on average, those that received trash talk messages actually did around 35% better than those who didn't. The researchers believe that this is because there was a perceived rivalry between the 2 people, thus spurring on the participants who had been trash talked to try even harder than they would have done previously. But do we actually want trash talk in our games? With the rise of companies trying to clamp down on this sort of action and make it more inclusive for all of the players, it seems like this is the esports way to do things.
But today I would like to address an issue that I think a lot of us have been feeling for some time, and that's sort of the rising tide of toxicity or bad behavior in the game versus...
However, trash talk has been a part of sports for a millennia. So if you think of the most stereotypically sterile sports, cricket immediately jumps to mind. That's baseball but with Englishmen. A massive part of the game, as you end up being a batsman sat out on the field in the baking rain for far too long, the opposing side will take their time to chip away at your ego and do as much mental damage as they can muster. In cricket, it even has its own term. It's called sledging, and all the greats utilise it to good effect. It seems that the further you get from team sports, the more trash talk is not only accepted, but expected.
Seriously. Uh-oh. This is Evo Grand Finals for real. Oh. Oh my god! Oh my god, that's a gif already.
If you take the previous example of cricket, that sits in a middle ground because it's asymmetrical in terms of being on the field. Yes, there are 2 teams, but there's only one batter and only one member of that team on the pitch at any one time. Now have a look at a game like football, where that sort of conduct is seen as unsportsmanlike and it's unwanted within the game.
As Mr. Sloman always says, there's no I in team, but there is an I in pie. There's an I in meat pie. The anagram of meat is team. I don't know what he's talking about. Look.
The ethos of those sports are different because comparatively speaking, there's less emphasis put on the individual players themselves. It's more working together well as a team that will get you to win, rather than a single player's mastery of the game. So, this seems to make sense as to why we see games such as CSGO or Overwatch implement these kinds of rules in regards to sportsmanlike conduct, as they are, after all, team-based games. However, I don't think this is desirable within the FGC at all. They're individualistic games, and quite frankly, you're taking away a player's options. There was a big outcry when Capcom removed one-frame links from Street Fighter V, and I think the same would happen if the Capcom Pro Tour decided to ban trash talk altogether. This is because both of those things would actually nerf two separate types of player. Firstly, removing the one-frame links, that nerfed the execution gods of the game. And secondly, if you ban trash talk, that nerfs the headspace gods of the game. Those players that are renowned for getting into your head, making hard reads and bending you to their will.
Bonchan is fighting for us all right now. Valle is not letting Bonchan gain any type of composure. He's rushing him down. It's Alex Valle and in full effect.
Oh, but here we go. Oh, great reaction once again. And it's good because he still has meter. Oh, he faked it.
It was
he's
a
gonna
fake.
get the full
Oh, he's
bonus.
gonna air it out on him.
Oh.
He read that and he takes the meter as well.
Yeah,
Alex
he
Valle.
takes the
Give him
meter.
a hand. Give him another hand.
Oh! Alex Valle grabbing him with the Ultra 2.
Oh, my.
Is this not going to be enough quite yet? But he's right there. What's the follow-up? And it just overheads him. Alex Valle sending.
Having the mental composure to be able to look over everything that's going on around you, the raging crowd, the person sat next to you, and just sit down and play your game as best as you can. Now, the person who is doing the trash talking, they have reasons for doing so. It's a calculated move. It's not being thrown out willy-nilly. It's done to help them win.
Never lose a race again. You're always winner with big rigs.
It may backfire, it may not work. You may look silly afterwards if you lose hard.
As Perfect Legend gets 13 and 0'd in a 1st to 10.
But it's a tool that many employ to good effect. So next time that you're on the receiving end of trash talk, remember that the person sitting opposite you is only doing so because they feel that on some level, in some place, you're a threat. Could beat them and take their sweets away from them. I hope you've found this interesting. Please let me know in the comments below what's the most creative form of trash talk you've either ever seen or doled out for yourself. May you always be plus on block. This is Servando, out.